We took these beautifully windy country roads through St. Genevieve County to come here to Hoffmeister Barrelworks, which is a small barrel works in comparison to some of the big players in the industry. But what's exciting is that it is new. And there haven't been a lot of barrel works to open up recently. And so what brought you into this industry?
My parents started a winery in 1983, and so I'd been around the wine business for a long time. I was also working full-time in the beverage industry and working with some microbreweries, and I was looking for an opportunity to start a business, and I started looking into what it would take to make barrels, and literally it was 10 years between the time I had an interest in it till I found some people who said, I can train you and teach you in this if you're really, really interested.
10 years?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and it's a very interesting time to be in the barrel industry. And if you're not familiar, Missouri makes a ton of barrels with our beautiful white oak that grows here in kind of the very forested area in southern Missouri. But with the growth in the wine industry, we have 120 some odd wineries in the state now, along with the growth in the spirits industry. This is a really interesting time to be entering into the market.
It is.
Where do you get your wood?
The wood all comes from Missouri, a couple different sources in Missouri, and air dried outside.
Because you have to dry it for a long time.
Yeah, it has to dry outside for a long time.
So how long?
Wood is dried outside. The generally accepted time is 2 years. And what that does is it breaks down the tannins that are in the wood. So if you've ever gone out and sawn down an oak tree, it's very pungent, and I mean it's strong aromas. And what you want over the course of time is that weathering and seasoning to break down some of those components.
And so once the wood is ready, then what is the process? What happens?
In the process of making barrels, the hoops are kind of one of the first pieces.
What is this exactly?
You've got different diameter hoops that go on the barrel. What this piece of equipment does, it will cut the steel into whatever length you need.
I mean, this is a monster machine.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you're having too much fun with this.
And so to rivet this, you put the rivet in. So that's high-speed manufacturing in the old days, but it's still very effective. And
wow. How much pressure is going through this machine?
a lot.
Yeah, I would say a lot.
So then you have a hoop, and so then it would get placed on this piece of equipment. You put the hoop on here, and it will expand the one side so that you have a different diameter hoop. I'll put a wrench on in the middle, and I can expand it and expand it and expand it as much as I want to.
This is so cool.
Yeah. You know, you have to be very close on your your specs on.
Because there is no glue, there is no adhesive that's keeping all of this together. It is strictly that hoop that's pulling all that wood together, so everything has to be perfect.
Exactly. So the next phase of the process would be to make the heads. To do that, these boards are going to fit together nice and tight.
Oh, wow.
And so you lay the boards out. The next step would be to drill some holes. There's a couple different ways to make heads, but dowels are nice because they don't ever slip on each other. So the head will stay together for the life of that barrel. And then in between the headboards, they get what's called a reed. It's a plant material.
Yeah. So you put that in between the pieces of wood?
In between the pieces of headboards. And so that reed expands quickly and makes that head watertight right from the get-go. After we have the holes drilled and the dowels tapped in and the reeds, then it would come to this piece of equipment which will squeeze those boards together, and then it'll look like that.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And then you have to cut it out,
And then I have to cut it, right. So to cut it, it goes to this machine. And you can see I've left this one on purpose where I pulled it out before it was completely finished, because here, and you can see where it was cutting that.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Turn it on. And so you'll run it through the planer a number of times, and it'll begin to plane that down to a set thickness. The jointer cuts this board,
Yeah, you can see that it
and
has.
it's more narrow here than it is in the middle. It's been cupped,
Oh, I see.
so it gives the image that it's already been bent
Right.
along that, but it hasn't. It's
I just can't
been,
believe that this is going to be bent
Yeah.
into the shape of a barrel. That's
is.
incredible.
they are beveled such that when you bend it, those will match up
Yeah.
perfectly. So you continue that process all the way around till you have boards completing that circle. You draw it tight with the cable, and you put one of the oversized hoops on it so that it all stays together when you're heating it. And then it would look like this, where that barrel is going to be put on the fire and made ready to bend. We'll take those boards and you want to heat them up to where they get nice and pliable and flexible. And so you add a little bit of moisture on the outside of that barrel to make sure that it doesn't become brittle.
Stays
and,
pliable.
Right, stays
Yeah.
a little bit more pliable. And then we'll bend all those boards at one time and into the shape of the barrel. Oh God.
I'm really sorry.
It's okay. Water shooting everywhere.
First you heat them, bend them, then they go back on the fire until you begin to raise the fire up inside that barrel, really start to bring the sugars out to the surface and do
And
the
that's the
toasting
toasting.
process. Yeah. I've got a barrel on the fire and I'll put a piece of tin over the top of it that's got a hole in it that will increase the heat on the inside of the barrel and also create a draft up through that barrel.
And so why does it matter to you to be making the barrels differently? That you are doing everything by hand. Why does that matter?
I just think that everything from the start to the finish, if you spend the time to do it right, then your business will grow with that.